Marcia Dyson is the founder of Women's Global Initiative. Evan Nierman is founder and CEO of Red Banyan. Joel Griffith is a research fellow in the Rowe Institute at the Heritage Foundation. And Benjamin Chavez is a civil rights leader and community organizer. We welcome you all. So our focus was on America, Evan. What is also is underreported is the mass exodus of Jews from Europe back to Israel because of this anti-Semitism.
That's exactly right, Armstrong. This is a unique moment in history where we're only 70 years out from the carrying out of one of the most gruesome, extreme examples of unprecedented a genocide and an attempt to exterminate a people. And I'm speaking of the Holocaust. And what's shocking to the conscience is it's not an ancient event. It is something that happened within the lifetime even of some of our relatives. And the idea that here we find ourselves today in the wake of a tragedy and extermination on such an unprecedented scale, the fact that we're right back at a time where some of that same hatred of Jews, targeting of Jews, and they're feeling unsafe in their homes, especially in Europe, it's a shocking reality, and it's something that, frankly, many Jews, not just in Europe, but all around the world, had hoped was a chapter in history that was in the past, but unfortunately, past is prelude to the current, and hopefully it's not a prelude to the future, but right now things are looking very grim for Jewish people globally, and you feel that within the community.
You know, I don't understand, Evan, why. I understand the internet and the dangers of it. I don't understand if a parent loves their child so much, they want the best for them in all things. The one thing that Frank reminded us of is that he was exposed to this hatred as a child. Why would any parent who unconditionally loved their child expose to them this kind of hate and vile racism and bigotry at such a young age? Is it ignorance? Is it that they don't know it's hatred? They don't know how problematic it will be for their child in society as it continues to grow within them?
Well, certainly there are families where that hatred and fear of the other, xenophobia, whether it takes the form of anti-Semitism or racism against African Americans or a hatred of the LGBT community, where that language it's not born into any of us, it's taught. And in some families, it is a family value, and that family value is hate. However, the internet changes the whole equation. And I think part of why we're seeing a rise, not just in anti-Semitism, but in hatred toward the other, is because the internet provides a platform with which you can do it. Someone can cast aspersions from a cloak of anonymity. They can hurl racist insults and know that they won't be held to account because they can do it through a fake name. The other thing is, children now are exposed to toxic ideas. They're a click away. Whereas your previous guest, he had to go to a neo-Nazi rally. He had to get involved with a gang. That was his peer group. Now you can find your peer group anywhere in the world. And I think part of the reason why we're seeing an uptick in racism and anti-Semitism is because we're living in a time where it's way bigger than any one person. There's a cultural divide, and our culture right now is celebrating conflict and division and divisiveness. And it's become, when you dehumanize other people, when you speak about them disrespectfully, it changes the way that people see their fellow man. And so the words that we speak, the words that we use around our children, the words that we use in talking about others, words matter. And ultimately, words can lead to action. And that's really the danger here, and it's the danger of the internet. You see it with people being radicalized, whether it's radical Islam, whether it's radical racist groups. Words matter. And so I think each of us needs to be painfully aware of what's going on around us, and when we hear things that are outside the norm of what should be acceptable, we've got to speak up.
The greatest thing that death teaches us, it doesn't matter how sick you get, how rich, how poor, what your background, how educated, who you think you are, you return to dust. You're all the same. Death is the only institution that does not discriminate, treats everybody the same. I don't care what you think you are, Jewish, black, white, whatever, we're all the same. How is it that we get people to understand that one is no better than the other? That is the issue. Evan?
It comes back to ignorance. That which you don't know, you're more likely to fear. And if you don't know any black people, and you've heard all these things about black people, you're basing a judgment not on personal experience. To me, it speaks to the need to form personal connections, to connect on a level man to man, woman to woman. It needs to be knowing the other, setting aside fear, and it also comes back to education. We have to educate that there is no one path. There is no one way to live. There is no one group that's superior to any other. At the end of the day, there aren't races. There's one race, and it's the human race. It's always darkest before the dawn. And I think conversations like this matter because there's a lot of scary statistics. We see a lot of very negative things on the rise, but part of what that does is just like a natural disaster. It gets people together. It takes the people who don't share those warped beliefs, who have a cause now, and they're shaken. So in a way, this is a wake-up call for us, and it shakes Jewish Americans, African Americans, people from every background to say, America can and must do better. And the issues that we thought went away a long time ago, they're not put to bed. They're still alive. And the majority of people who are good people and want to see a country brought together, it's a wake-up call to all of us to say, when we see it against one group, we need to speak out, because if you don't say it, it's going to be your group next. And we all need to come together, and we can actually turn this crisis into an opportunity. Amen.
Listen, I can't thank all of you enough. Marcia, Evan, Joel, Ben Chambers, so much for joining us in WGLA 24/7. I'm Armstrong Williams. Your voice, it is definitely your future.